Story Love Donor. Written by Abhijit Chakraborty. Tapas waits on a corner bench among fellow patients at Dr. Malhotra's private nursing home, anticipating the doctor's call. Though not a patient himself, Tapas has been visiting Dr. Malhotra for almost 4 months in hopes of having his medical reports reviewed. Despite facing initial obstacles and spending many sleepless nights near the doctor's bungalow, Tapas persisted in his requests until the doctor finally granted permission. Today, Tapas is filled with joy at the opportunity he has been seeking for so long, eagerly awaiting his turn. After a wait of nearly 2 hours, his name is finally called, and he walks over to a small cabin where Dr. Malhotra is seated in a chair. Upon entering the cabin, Dr. Malhotra gestures for Tapas to take a seat across from him, which he promptly does, submitting his medical reports for review. After examining the documents, Dr. Malhotra delivers the good news: "Your reports are all clear." Feeling a sense of relief, Tapas beams at the doctor and expresses his gratitude. "Thank you so much, doctor." However, Dr. Malhotra pauses and asks Tapas once more, "Are you absolutely certain that this is what you want? This is the final time I will ask you. If you proceed, there may be nothing I can do to assist you. Please take a moment to reconsider." As Tapas sits in the cabin, his mind wanders to memories of his past. Like an old negative film strip playing in his mind, he feels as though he is reliving moments from his past that he would rather forget. Tapas had always been a brilliant student from a young age. It wasn't until he started attending a new school in 5th grade that he met Ruksana, and they gradually became close friends. By the time they reached 9th grade, Tapas had fallen deeply in love with her, but he couldn't bring himself to confess his feelings for fear of ruining their friendship. As time went on, their bond only grew stronger, and they became the best of friends. Although Tapas confided in Ruksana about everything in his life, he couldn't muster the courage to tell her about the love he harbored for her. On the auspicious day of Saraswati Puja during their 12th grade year, Tapas finally resolved to confess his love to Ruksana. Determined to find her, he searched every classroom in the school but couldn't locate her. As he walked toward the school entrance, he spotted her wearing the yellow-colored saree that he had gifted her on her birthday. Filled with excitement, Tapas led her to an empty classroom where he finally poured out his heart to her. Both of them were breathless from the long run to get there. "Please, give me a moment. I want to say something," Tapas gasped, struggling to catch his breath as he tried to speak. Ruksana also appeared to be excited and responded with enthusiasm, "I have something to tell you too." Tapas took a moment to process Ruksana's words, and as she spoke, he felt his heart sink. She told him how their neighbor, Kabir, had proposed to her earlier that day and that they were planning to go on a date after school. Though Tapas managed to smile at her, inside, he was devastated. As Ruksana left to rejoin their friends, Tapas was left alone, unable to speak for several minutes, silently watching his dreams of a future with her slip away. Overcome with emotion, he wept and punched his hand against a wall before finally managing to regain his composure and return home. For nearly a month, he avoided going to school, ignoring Ruksana's repeated calls. She didn't know where he lived, and he had forbidden his friends from telling her. The only one who knew Ruksana's address was Tapas himself. After a month had passed since Tapas arrived at school for his HS registration, he unexpectedly encountered Ruksana. Upon inquiring about why she had not answered his calls, Ruksana was met with the explanation that Tapas had been preoccupied with his HS preparations. As Ruksana began to recount her love story involving Kabir, Tapas listened intently, observing her facial expressions in silence. At that moment, he vowed to love her unrequitedly for the remainder of his life, all while maintaining a composed and collected demeanor. After completing his HS exam, Tapas reminisced about the joyous moments he had shared with Ruksana. Suddenly, he received a call from her, informing him that she would be tying the knot with Kabir in just 1 month and inviting him to the wedding. Despite feeling heartbroken upon hearing the news, Tapas feigned happiness and congratulated her. However, when the time came for the wedding, Tapas chose not to attend and instead spent the entire night weeping over the loss of his love. Following the heart-wrenching incident, Tapas underwent a complete transformation, becoming increasingly introverted and withdrawn. He refused to engage in conversation with his parents and even rejected the idea of meeting his school friends. Alarmed by his sudden change in behavior, Tapas' parents decided to take him to see a psychiatrist. Though initially resistant to the idea, Tapas eventually relented after his mother emotionally blackmailed him by threatening to harm herself if he did not agree to seek professional help. After consulting with a reputable psychiatrist, Tapas was diagnosed and treated for his condition. Over the course of nearly 2 years, Tapas received ongoing medical treatment to help him overcome his trauma. However, during this period, he made multiple suicide attempts, each of which was foiled by his vigilant parents. As a result of his struggles, Tapas' physical appearance began to deteriorate, and he appeared more akin to a disheveled, deranged individual. Eventually, after 2 years of treatment, Tapas was able to return to a state of normalcy. He resumed his studies, completed his graduation, and landed a job in a private company with the help of his father's friend, who was the owner of the company. Although Tapas' parents were relieved to see their son recovering and moving forward in life, Tapas continued to struggle with memories of Ruksana. He frequently dreamt of her, making it difficult for him to sleep at night. Despite his ongoing anxiety, Tapas chose to conceal his struggles from those around him. After nearly 6 months had passed, Tapas was on his way home from work one day when he received a call from one of his old school friends. His friend informed him of a terrible car accident that had taken Kabir's life and left Ruksana severely injured. According to his friend, Ruksana had been admitted to Dr. Malhotra's private nursing home, where she had lost her eyesight and suffered kidney damage. In desperate need of a donor for both her eyes and kidney, Tapas was left with a difficult decision to make. When Dr. Malhotra asked Tapas if he would be willing to donate his kidney and eyes to Ruksana, Tapas responded with a firm determination. "I am ready to donate my kidney and eyes to her, but I don't want my name to be mentioned to Ruksana or her family members," he said. His selfless act of kindness and love for Ruksana was a testament to the depth of his feelings for her, even after all that he had been through. He signs some papers and within a few minutes, a nurse escorts him to the operation theater. Ruksana is also brought in, unconscious, to the same operation theater. Tapas takes one last look at her, knowing that he may never see her again. He kisses her closed eyes, tears streaming down his own. The transplant operation begins after an hour and lasts for more than 3 hours. As the operation concluded, a nurse immediately ran to inform Ruksana's family members that the transplant was a success. The family members were overjoyed and grateful to the unknown donor who had selflessly given his organs to save Ruksana's life. They had no idea who the donor was or what he had sacrificed, but they knew that he had given Ruksana a new lease on life. The family members could only hope and pray that the donor would receive blessings and good fortune for his act of kindness.